Listen, we are attending the game in person, you and
Yes.
I, on September 21st in
Yes.
Chicago against
Yes.
Ted's team against
The
Dallas.
Cowboys.
Whoa,
Th-
whoa, 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 whoa. Don't you put that on me.
Oh, we are attending in person, and boy, we're going to have a recap of that game. But they're going to win because we are going to be there with our
Yes.
positive energy and aura.
And in the fourth quarter, these slightly inebriated girls and very um, sodium consuming popcorn, sausages, all the things we're going to eat, we're still going to bring it, Ted. We're going
That's
to be the
right.
most enthusiastic fans in
We're
Chicago.
going to paint our bodies, Ted.
The hollow buddy, and we all feel hollow sometimes.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast. I'm Kristen Zeman, and I am here with my gritty and graceful co-host, Sylvia Moyer. Yeah, what do you think about that?
That alliteration was something. You do this in the
Thanks.
morning, like before
Hmm.
the sun comes up for most
I do.
normal people on the West Coast.
Hmm.
And I have to be gritty and gracious. It's the intention for the day. Thanks so
Yeah,
much. Okay, I will be both.
gritty. Gritty is my new favorite quality in people. Grit. I love that. Made famous by the book Grit by Angela Duckworth, I believe her name is. And
Hmm.
she says the single most telling quality of success in people's lives is not intelligence, it is grit. Basically,
Okay.
the idea of stick withedness. And I find that to be true in so many aspects in life.
So I get it. Yeah, it's super great quality. How does it differ from resilience? I mean, resilience is bouncing back when you kicked in the cooter or the
I think they're
whatever.
cousins. I think they're first cousins twice removed.
Oh.
I don't know what that means at all, but I think that there is a connection there. I mean, resilience is built and grit. I don't know. Maybe the difference is grit is like grit is what forms resilience is that idea is everything is figure outable. I will not quit until I solve this problem. Then resilience is built through grit. Maybe. I don't know. What do I know about anything?
Super interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. As a kid, my dad talked about figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
I was like,
Fitfo. I have a t-shirt that
fit
says
what?
Fitfo. Figure it
It
the
says
fuck
fit.
out.
Are you
Fitfo.
kidding me?
Swear for God. Swear for God.
Swear for Barton McCray Moyer.
Swear. I
Yeah.
swear. So that's what you're getting for Christmas. You are getting a Fitfo t-shirt so you can just wear it
Well,
proudly.
you got me the coolest ampersand hat ever.
Oh,
Like
thanks.
literally the little gifts that you get me are like the most cherished little things. My disruptor screen t-shirt, my ampersand hat,
Can we
it's
please
just
not forget the cheesiest gift I've ever gotten you? The the model of a Southwest airplane.
okay, but I love it so big. I'm not sure I'd get you a school of gifts. Like I did get you one when we were going to go to Paris with our spouses that do you remember? You could
Yes.
operate it with your iPhone and okay, we'll just pass.
You also got me, see, you give very thoughtful gifts, and you
Oh,
also got me a calendar with penises.
I
Um,
did.
or is it plural? Is it peni when it's a buffet of penises?
Well,
It's
it's a buffet
uh
of artistic penises like the Statue of
artistic. That's right.
David and
Yes,
it was from
yes,
Rome. It's
yes.
classy. I classed up your peni.
Yes, it is
Okay.
one of my most prized possessions. I will not lie, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're digging into an article from the
Oh,
October issue of the Harvard Business Review titled "Why Aren't I Better at Delegating?" by Elsbeth. It's not Elizabeth. It's Elsbeth Johnson. And it's a piece that hits a nerve for leaders because whether you're new to management or sitting in the C suite, delegation is one of those things we all say that we should do better, and yet we all stay stuck in the weeds. So let's
okay.
talk about the article. Let's talk about what it gets right. Let's talk about where we can push back and how we can reframe delegation in real life.
So without getting into the article specifically, relying on my own understanding, I was always taught that we delegate. We delegate to folks to develop their skills. And I mean, isn't that what we were taught? But
Hmm.
then we also should be really forthright when we say, look, I'm delegating this to you because I just don't have time. Do you think that's a flawed understanding?
No, I think there's a lot to unpack here because I think there are different levels of delegation or different intents of delegation. I would like to believe that we fall on the more righteous side is that I'm going to delegate to develop you. But you're right. When a lot of times it's, I just don't have time for this, get this off my plate. But regardless, I think we fail as leaders. And I know I've worked for a lot of leaders that were absolutely micromanagers that could not relinquish control no matter what. So regardless of the intent, whether, yeah, it's to develop or whether it's just to get something off your plate, I think the failure is when we can't follow through with truly allowing someone to have the autonomy to do the thing.
Sure. So I think we could agree for all folks in leadership that delegation is important to complete the strategic work, to complete the mission, to get the business done.
Yeah.
And when we don't delegate as leaders, it leads to frustration and sometimes some contempt by those on our team. So we can, don't we just say, okay, we accept that,
Yeah.
and we can really dive into the other pieces more deeply.
Yeah. And I think leaders get trapped also into their old roles. I know that sometimes it's hard to leave an operational role and move into a management role. I remember the most difficult transition that I went through, and that most people will say, especially in our field, is going from a sergeant, which is on the street, still with the troops, despite being in a supervisory role, and then moving to a lieutenant, which is middle management, but very much administration, an
Yeah.
administrative role. And that was the hardest role for me to transition. And I think that happens to a lot of people, that they get trapped in their old roles and they neglect the big picture work, and they think that it's only they can do it. So like a CEO who keeps meddling with engineering tasks instead of leading at the executive level. So I think that it's important to remember that when you move up in an organization, your role becomes managing, or a better way to put it, I've always loved it described as getting work done through others, AKA leadership.
Yeah, I guess I do have to kind of push back a little bit on that. What if you are the only one that has the expertise, the experience? Then shouldn't you carry it for a bit and maybe co advance the piece until the person has some competency?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we talked about that also as far as building the succession plan. I don't think it's any different in looking at these roles, in that it is our responsibility to train. Think about, let's go back to the self determination theory, which was made famous by psychologists Deci and Ryan. And what they said was that people want three things: they want autonomy, which is what we're talking about when we actually talk about delegating, the freedom to choose. And people perform at their highest level when they feel like they have the autonomy to do their job. But number two, they said that people want mastery. They want to gain the skills and the tools to do their job well. Therefore, it is up to the leader to make sure you give your people the skills and tools. So if you're the only one who knows how to do something, you're in effect hoarding
Yep.
that power, that information. And so it is by all intents, leaders are the ones who develop others, and that is just another way of saying delegation.
Right. I don't disagree with that at all. Marcus Aurelius actually offered that the longest period of our life is that period of apprenticeship. So you and I, we churn on this thing about mastery and 10,000 reps, all necessary. I think there has to be a seed of apprenticeship that you're still learning. But the challenges in delegation, as offered in this article, there are four key challenges. And they are very real. And one of them is this addiction to this. You and I have talked about this, the addiction to the dopamine hit of personal productivity. I'm telling you right now, great book I read decades ago called The Checklist Manifesto. I love making a checklist. Make a
Mm-hmm.
checklist, check that shit off. It feels so good. I have a major, major case that I'm advancing in the personnel space. It's a beast. I advance it, I complete it. There's a dopamine hit. Push back against how do we fill the dopamine hit when we are delegating and we feel this void of actual personal productivity? Is it to reframe that we are producing by developing people now, or what's another suggestion that you have?
Okay, well, I want to go back to your making lists and that dopamine hit because I'm going to give you a confession. There are sometimes, so every day I have my to do list, and there are sometimes after I've completed it, if I forgot to put it on my to do list, I will add it to my to do list just
I do
so I
too.
can check it off.
Okay. Do you think
Are we
anybody,
psychopaths?
I don't know, but I do it too. And
Mm,
I kind of feel that it's like normal if there's nine
yeah,
things and you've done 11, you
yeah,
add those other two. Do you
yeah.
use a check or an X? Please don't tell me you
So
strike it out.
no, absolutely not. In
Oh,
fact, well, I have two. I have a version, you can't see it, but up on my wall here, I have a black like a mirror board, which I love writing on with white markers. And so I put my what I want to achieve, and then I also have a digital one. So I have several, and one is on the desktop of my computer, and then I just click the button and it puts a check mark, and it is so
oh
satisfying
my
to me.
God. Oh my God. I just got a
Okay,
massive dopamine hit.
I
I
know,
like
I
the
know.
thought of it. Yeah. So you and I obviously are okay.
Okay, so I see what you're
I,
asking.
I am, but I'm still reeling with just the joy of knowing that you have this mirror board.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I'll send you a picture
yeah,
of it. Right now,
it's a
what it
lot.
has on there are sit-ups, push-ups, and squats. And I put a tick mark because today is my sit-up, push-up, and squat day. So that's what's up there right now, just so you
It's a
know.
tick mark. It's a tick mark.
Just tick marks, and then I do 10 at a time. I do every hour on the hour. I do tick marks, and then so my goal is to do 100 a day. So that is what I'm obsessed with right now. Yes. Okay. But let's go back to your question. And the dopamine hit
Yes.
of productivity is the article's point is that context setting is harder when you're a
Yeah.
manager, when you're a leader. And so here, I think, at least the article pointed out, and I don't disagree with them, is that leaders can still make checklists about maybe projects,
Sure.
like good practices, reframe their purpose to get similar satisfaction. So maybe the project that we're working on here, the milestones that the team has completed, that has been delegated, and you kind of cross off the milestones. I think that would give a similar dopamine hit. But also, I want to tackle this for a second because maybe the better question is, do we really need to trick ourselves into loving leadership work? Because that's what this is saying, is like letting go and letting other people do the thing. So how do we design a leadership role that honors both strategy and tactical involvement? So leaders shouldn't feel guilty if they still enjoy getting their hands dirty. So, but there's just got to be a way to check that box, I guess.
I would say you and I have discussed this. I'm a workhorse and not a show horse as a number two. I love it because I just get to get shit done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think acknowledging that we have a need for the dopamine hit and finding other ways to get it is the most honest thing to do. And the
Yeah.
new dopamine hit is watching someone, delegating it to someone, standing
Mm-hmm.
beside them, guiding them through it as a developer, giving them nudges toward growth and achievement. And that is reframing the dopamine hit.
For sure. For
And I
sure.
just think we acknowledge it and move on.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Hey, this figure out another way to get that dopamine hit. That I think that's the easiest way, not to water it down, but yeah, that's simple. So let's go back to what the article talks about though, deciding what to delegate. I liked the questions that were posed by the author, and the best and cheapest test. Which I liked. Am I the best and cheapest person to do this? If not, delegate. And leaders should hand off tasks, but give full context, the why, the desired outcomes, the timeline, and the behaviors. I think that's where leaders fail. I think that they don't give full context. And you and I have discussed this before using the example of coconut milk, where I was given a task by my son to go get coconut milk. And I got home or I went to the store and I saw that there were 42 different flavors of coconut milk. I didn't know which one to get. And that is because I wasn't given the full context of why. I wasn't given the desired outcome, the timeline. And so that is where leaders fail. They don't adequately communicate their vision. And so, just an important note, when you are deciding what to delegate, you have to give the full why and the outcome that you are looking for.
Right. And there's the limited definition of the work is a major, major
Mm-hmm.
challenge. Your challenge in getting coconut work for this concoction that Jake was creating, it was not clearly stated to you. You did not either understand that there were that many options or somehow interact with him to clarify if there's some specificity to all the array of coconut
Mm-hmm.
milks. So that's a really important piece. It's this to understand the work and understand what is expected in defining the work. That's a big challenge to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Can we go back though to something I don't think the article adequately touched on? And that is that sometimes, okay, I want to know like, how do we know the sweet spot of delegation? Because sometimes being in the weeds with your people is how you earn trust and credibility. And so if you've ever worked with someone who has seemed too removed, that it can feel like abandonment, right? So there's a balance between stepping aside and rolling up your sleeves alongside your team. So I don't know the answer to this, but I know that people grapple with the sweet spot. What's too much letting go where, and I don't know, just tossing that out there.
I'm not sure there's really a calculation. There's this, I think I look at outcomes versus outputs, right? Outputs just like it's the number, right? The
Mm-hmm.
outcomes, it's what change was affected. How did the person grow? How was the client satisfied? How was the mission advanced? I just, I'm not sure we can answer it, but there's a nuance in it and an emotional intelligence and discernment that has to be inserted into any delegation. And it's really tough. It's tough because there are standard places where you check in with the employee that is carrying out the work to
Yeah.
ensure that they have the support, the direction. And I think the primary responsibility of the leader in delegating work is to clear the path of obstacles.
That's
There's a
right.
clear line of sight between the employee carrying out the work and the goal. And so I'm not
Yeah.
sure we can actually give a number to how do you know?
Right. And I think that's also instinctual, also followed by a project management timeline. And I'm kind of taking myself back to a major project that we implemented in the police department, and that was new policy. And that was a giant undertaking. So a committee uh, was doing the work, but I would pop in at the milestones where, hey, is this chapter written yet? And then to your point, the question was, what can I do to remove any barriers for you guys? So I think that's an appropriate way of doing checking in. And I think you almost, I'm trying to answer my own question here, but I think you let the teams decide how much or how little is, do you need me for anything? And if the answer is yes, we could actually use you for this to remove a barrier, by all means. So I think maybe just asking the question, and it's almost the same thing that we do when we support each other in friendships, right? Is tell me what you
Ooh.
need from me right now. Do you need me to help? Do you need me to listen? Do you need me to solve a problem, or do you want to just run with it and I'll sit with you? So I think that there's something there about teams and leading teams as well.
Oh, for sure. And slight off ramp. I recently heard it was Simon Sinek that was talking on um, a pod or something about a friend that checked in with him. He didn't have time to answer the call, but then when he checked in with his friend later, the friend had a real need to be supported. And he described how research informs that you just need 8 minutes you as a friend call and say, hey, I need 8 minutes. I can step out of something for 8 minutes to support you. I can put something on the back of an actual stove for 8 minutes and then come back to it. And there's a real strength in recognizing that it is a small piece of time to connect. So back on the road, the on ramp is, I think there's a real strength in the intuitive nature of the work, right? So do we want to? I think most people that come to us and say, okay, I'm having a real hard time with my boss micromanaging, or I'm having a real hard time delegating. There are some strategies that were offered in overcoming some of the challenges in delegation. And one of them is our fave, which is create checklists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that resonates for people like us, but what are some of the strategies to overcome challenges in delegation that really resonated with you that we could offer for folks?
Yeah, I think that for me it was about the expectations, and I
Mm.
think that that just cannot be underscored enough. Is that that's how we see that projects fail and teams fail, is because the expectations are not clear, and the leader then doesn't give. Again, the desired outcomes. Um, I think that we really need to put a finer point on the fact that leadership is not just about delegating, but making sure that people are brought into the conversations and what the outcome looks like. And we talk about this all the time, and also giving the teams the opportunity to point out some blind spots. And so I think that's important, in delegation as well. Is that here's what you're missing. So I think it's just a back and forth communication between the leader and the person to whom they are delegating.
That's so funny because this expectation piece is in any human interaction. Brene Brown, in her book Atlas of the Heart, I believe is where she talked about it, talks about stealth expectations and how many times in human interactions in a leadership space or friend space or family or spouse do we have an expectation about how something is going to go or what someone's contribution is going to be, only to be disappointed. And what she argues is you should be upfront with the expectation and say, look, the expectation in this delegation is that you're going to check in with me at these key milestones. You're going to proactively come to me and take the initiative if you hit a stumbling block. You're also going to come to me if there is something that my position affords me in terms of this positional authority to remove an obstacle, to bring other assets and resources to the team, to get you the technology or software or whatever you need to complete the work. The employee needs to know, or the delegatee needs to know, they are required to take the initiative. That is an expectation. Also, expectations are outputs and outcomes. They're about long-term goals. But I think in any relationship, if you have an expectation and you don't say it, you really can't be disappointed when the person hallucinates or assumes about how it's going to look and they don't meet what you expected because it's been stealth. You haven't even talked about what it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I just, that's really what resonates with me the most. The other thing is,
Okay.
I think that we also have to bring um, people into conversations. And I think that the reason that people have a problem with delegation is because I will call it a lack of trust, because not in an ill intent, kind of nefarious way, but it's just that I know I have this problem. Is like I just need to do it myself, because then I know it will get done in the way that I want it to get done. I suffer from that affliction as a perfectionist, and I have had to learn that is
Mm.
far more many ways to quote skin the cat, that other people might do it differently, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. And so I think we do need to let go of this notion, especially for those of us who are perfectionists, that you can let someone take the reins and it may not look exactly the way you would do it, but still the outcome is still very good. So we have to really consciously make that effort. And I also think there's another part about trust. And that's what really this is can I trust you to get this done? As the boss, as the leader, we have high stakes. Maybe, time is of the essence, or this project is of utmost importance and we cannot fail. And so then it feels like almost like you're free falling when you let someone else do it, when I wish we could reframe this into small incremental moments of trust. And that is, do this portion of the project and gradually build trust. So if you are a leader that has trouble relinquishing control and trust, then start small and gradually build it and let people earn that trust.
Without a doubt, two things really come up for me. One is I tend to get completely out of their way. I don't abdicate responsibility in delegation, but I hate micromanagers. I despise them. It is ego. So I tend to go too far astray, like stay out
Mm-hmm.
of their business, check in, have micro check ins. And I don't know. I need you to kind of kick me on that. Is it admirable? Is it, I guess it's all measure, and you wouldn't know unless you have firsthand understanding. But I almost feel like I just want them to know I'm thinking about it. I care. I'm
Yeah.
viewing from the sidelines. The other piece is you brought up this timeless principle, the teaching actually about preference versus principle. Preference is kind of the style and the way it's done. The principle is that it's completed in a legally sound manner, that it provides what was needed. It's kind of that unyielding truth, right? And so I think the people that get stuck on preference tend to diminish the innovation of the people around
Yeah.
them because
Absolutely.
they're not focused on the principle. Push back on both of those things for me.
No, I completely agree. I think that you stifle creativity when exactly what you just said, when you um, ask people to do something in the way that you prefer it. You're just saying that they're
Yeah,
micromanaging on how they do it. That's all, that we're saying it in all different ways, when that's where autonomy comes right back in, is that people want the
yeah.
freedom. And when you look at someone and say, hey, here's this project, here is this thing that we need to get done, I trust you to do it. And that is what people crave. That is what motivates people. And Daniel Pink picks up on the modern version of motivation and talks about it even in more depth, about the idea that when people are given the space to do the thing. Now, I want to circle back on something you said, because I don't think that it's a flaw to get out of their way. I think that when you said micro check-ins and timeline check-ins, I think that's what people want from you. I had a tendency, on the other hand, as kind of the visionary person that had 40 projects. And that's what my command staff would tell me, is that you've got all of these visions and these projects going, and you've got different people working on them. And once you get your team set to do the thing, you've moved on to the next thing, and we need you to come back. And so I had
Mm.
my command staff say, we need you to come back into this project, because I would run so far away. So I think I was the extreme. So sometimes when I'm as the perfectionist, there are things I wouldn't let go, but the things I did let go, it wasn't because I was abandoning. It was because I trusted them so much that I'm like, I'm on to the next 10 things that I'm doing, and I needed to be reined back
Right.
in.
Well, and cool on you that you created a team that would give you that honest feedback. I think one of the things for overcoming this challenge and so many others is teaching teams to initiate, to ask
Mm-hmm.
questions, to make decisions by providing them with demonstrated context, examples, of how that is done and the psychologically safe permission to do exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it's our pods are replete with examples of you stepping in and saying, look, I want feedback. I want you to throw spears. I want you to kick me in the gut. I want you to give me this. That is a built capacity, Kristen Zeman. And so that's one of the things with delegation that's absolutely necessary, is to have agency and self-esteem and confidence, and an outward focus where you're delegating to develop the capacity of the team. So you struck on something really important. I hope people go back 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds and listen to that again. That is an intention and purpose. If someone doesn't have that naturally or hasn't built that capacity, that they create that capacity in self and team.
Yeah, makes sense. I loved the article and how they brought the most important thing to the surface, I think, which is the patience factor and
Oh,
the
okay.
honest truth, the truth bomb that delegation is slow and it's messy. And that is where, again, that I think leaders fall into where they fail at delegation, because it becomes at this moment where it's like, this isn't getting done fast enough for me, so let me just take this over myself. So um, we have to resist that idea that it's not doing it fast enough. So if time is not of the essence, if we're not talking about something that needs to be done yesterday, then resist the urge to step in and let it unfold. And I think in that time that you're going to build better teams and stronger strategic focus with your people if you just let go and be patient.
Yeah, and that is difficult for high speed folks. And Marty Linsky, Ron Heifetz, and Leadership on the Line talked about how we should change in an organization and institute change at the capacity of the organization, not our own capacity. So there's an assessment that needs to take place there. One of the case study examples that was provided was a managing director delegated 40% of meetings and 25% of tasks. That led to the team being more satisfied, focusing on strategic tasks by the leader instead of that 40% of meetings and 25% of tasks really advance the organization. And that was compelling. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was a really compelling case study that was provided, and an urging for those of us to really examine, how are we delegating even meetings as well as tasks and projects.
That's right. And that's a really important one too, because we know that in meetings, it's usually those who speak the most are the ones with the highest title or rank. And so we need to also get into that delegation mode when we're in meetings, because people have deference to rank and leadership. And, you're stifling people's voices, not on purpose, but just because those who don't feel comfortable speaking up and speaking out. So, delegating some of those meetings and letting other people take charge. So I think the article, I didn't learn a whole lot in the article. I have to say it was most of what I already knew, that delegation is essential, but it's not a magic wand. The article makes a strong case that leaders have to let go in order to grow. We get that. But the reality is that it's messier. And so there are times when leaders have to be in the weeds with people, because that builds trust. And sometimes that tactical work keeps you engaged. So, I'd say my biggest takeaway is simply this, is that as a leader and how you delegate, what matters most is why. Are you holding on because it serves your ego, or because it serves your team? Are you delegating because it makes you efficient, or because it makes them better? And the answers aren't universal, but I think we just have to ask these questions of ourselves. And I think that's what separates Hollow Bunny leaders from those who add substance.
Right. I agree with you. There wasn't a lot of learning, but some affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And my big takeaway is that leaders should embrace kind of that context setting work, and encourage the culture in the organization that really values thoughtful, purposeful, engaged delegation without abdication of responsibility for the growth of the organization. So,
Love it.
really, the urging is examine what you're delegating, how you're delegating, and make a real solid bunny intention toward doing it for the reasons that Kristen just described, and perhaps in the manner that may just nudge you into doing something that might be uncomfortable for the good of the individuals and the collective of your organization.
Yeah, love that. I don't, did we miss anything? I don't know.
No,
I,
I don't think so.
okay. All right.
Some
Well,
good stuff to chew on.
bunnies, you'll let us know if we missed anything. So, if usual, if you guys like this podcast, please subscribe to it. Please hit that like button, that thumbs up button. Please review it. Please tell everyone you know about it. You can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. If you didn't like it, well, move along. There's nothing more to see here. Everyone, keep filling your own bunnies and please keep adding substance to others. Bye.
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 Good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
When you look inside, what do you find? Are you content to fall behind? When you lose your way and you've lost your why, have courage and get ready to fight the hollow bunny. When the way ahead is covered in smoke and you're tired and you're scared and you're losing hope, you'll open your heart and your eyes to see a challenge and a question. Why not me? To fight the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're brave and kind, you'll be alright. If you fight the hollow bunny. When the challenge ahead scares you to death, you tame the imposter inside instead. To change the world, you've got to start small. It takes a leader to say, I don't know it all. And I know I'm gonna fall, but I'll pick it up and come back stronger. Failing forward and moving onward, doing the hard thing and the right thing, forever fighting the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're brave and kind, you'll be alright. If you fight the hollow bunny. If you're tough on the outside but empty within, something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. We you're tough on the outside but empty within, something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. The monsters are